I am sure most of you watching have a fond memory relating to playing a Grand Theft Auto game. Maybe you remember sharing cheat codes with your buddies in school, or that time that you accidentally went into a strip club and then your grandma comes to your room, sees what you're doing and says, "Oh my god, my grandson, what are you doing? He's playing a naughty game." So she overreacts, takes the game away, burns it, so you start crying because you're like 12 years old. So to shut you up, she gives you another M-rated game, Homefront, which does not have a strip club, but instead it's about war, oppression, and socio-international politics. What? Grandma, I'm 12 years old! I think that story might be a bit too specific, but you get what I mean. Grand Theft Auto is huge. Everybody knows about it. Even back in the days of 1997 with GTA 1, that was still kind of a big deal. Not as big as these other ones though. GTA 5 alone is worth more than some real-life countries' GDPs and your soul combined. And you don't want to include the online. Just don't go there, man. Just don't. Quick history lesson about GTA 1, which was developed by DMA Design based in Scotland, who made games like Lemmings and Body Harvest, and they also made GTA 1, as I said 14 seconds ago, and they also made GTA London, which nobody remembers. Then DMA Design got acquired by Take-Two Interactive and rebranded to Rockstar. Bunch of corporate shenanigans happened that nobody wants to hear. They made GTA 2, that wasn't received well, and yeah, they eventually moved on from that and made all these games. And also apparently helped to publish Monster Truck Madness 64, which Rockstar has killed anyone that even mentions this game, so I gotta be real careful from now on. The development of GTA 1 was complicated. The game wasn't fun at first, it wasn't bold, it wasn't meant to be Grand Theft Auto, it was called something else because it was something else. But through trial and error and a lot of time, men discovered fire, and Scotland discovered something much more important. Functioning cities, added with being bold, like running people over bold, shaped the game into a beast. It was as fresh as it was insane, but not everything came together. See, during playtesting, people just wanted to run around the city and live the male fantasy life of going into the streets and committing war crimes. But then John DMA got involved and he got mad. He said, "What are you doing, man? Just do the missions, just go finish. Oh, you're having fun. I see that you're having fun." So Gary Foreman, a programmer at BMG Interactive, said, "What if we just let the players answer phones anywhere? Meaning you can just run around the city, do whatever the heck you want, and if you wanted to do a mission, just answer a phone call, separating the missions from the world itself." GTA 1 had a slow start in sales, but it grew larger because everyone kept talking about how problematic it was to run people over. But then people started actually talking about how impressive the game was and how simply fun it is to run people over. So DMA, soon to be Rockstar, did GTA 2, which doubled down on being purely fun. But you see, these creatures called gamers, they are fucking stupid cause they think graphics is more important than the game being fun. See, gamers were not a pack of intelligent beings back then. They were a pack of moron baboons, which they still are to various degrees. So folks at DMA were like, okay, let's just make Grand Theft Auto but in 3D, third person, and they made GTA 3, which was the start of every game known to man becoming open world. GTA 3 had a map that was full of people, full of places, different factions, guns, cars, guns in cars, subway, a car in the subway, a train station, many radio channels with different themes and talking shows, a little plane in the airport that you could fly. Let's just don't talk about that one, but it was insane. You could see people interacting with each other in many ways. If you killed somebody, people would start gathering around them. Sometimes they would get revived by paramedics, or if they don't, you can see that place turn into a crime scene. It was out of this world. Was there open world games before GTA 3? Yeah, of course there was. Daggerfall was like 20 quadrillion times bigger. Shenmue had better graphics, it was more detailed, the voice acting is done by Daniel Day-Lewis. I don't know why he accepted this job, but this is a known fact about Shenmue.
Years ago, I was Chinese.
And there was GTA 3, which didn't have the graphics of Shenmue. It was a packing like Daggerfall, but could you roleplay as an ambulance driver and at the same time run people over, then get out and incinerate people in Shenmue? No, you can't. And then just a year later, bam! Vice City! I don't know how exactly this game was pitched, but if I was gonna guess, I would say Sam Houser made an 80s playlist and gave the dev team that and said, make a game out of these bozos. Also neon colors, motorcycles, boats, choppers, and Scarface. Make sure to include the whole movie of Scarface and keep the horrible aiming. But to spice things up a bit, he gave them 9 months to make the game, which for a AAA title, that's nothing. But for a AAA open world game, that's just pure evil. So the game had to be just a reskin of GTA 3 with slight improvements. But what a reskin it was. What a reskin it was. People loved it, it made a lot of money, it has Michael Jackson, I think that's what most people want out of a video game. It worked for Sonic, I don't know. Then 2 years later, Rockstar made a deal with Satan to be able to make a game that captured an entire state and more. Not just the cities, mind you, but with mountains, deserts, bicycles, jets, commercial planes, trains, and the best part of it, almost 100 cheat codes. And it also runs on the PS2. San Andreas, well, I was gonna call it an international hood classic, but now I'm thinking about it, this is more like an intergalactic hood classic. If we find aliens ever, this is going to be how we make peace with them. And here we are today. They made a lot of more games, of course, and they are very close to release their next title, probably the most anticipated game of all time, which is expected to be many things, but most people expect it to be the next step in technology used in games. But quick question, will this step be as monumental as GTA 3 was? Which to anyone who ever played this game, this sounds insane. What do you mean by that? This shit looks worse than Jimmy Neutron, but going from this to this literally adds a new dimension. GTA 6 cannot do that. There are many games that work with a bird's eye view. Even Grand Theft Auto itself could work gracefully, arguably even more mechanically complex than most of these games. But when you show people a footage of someone stealing a cab, getting into a fight with the cab driver, then driving away and working as a taxi driver, doing stunt jumps, getting into a police chase in 3D, third person, what do you have? Well, a lot of fucking money, the most sold game of that year, and the second most selling game of the next year. Oh, by the way, what was the best selling game of the same year? It was Vice City, the next GTA game. Then San Andreas came out, and that was the most sold game on the PS2. The most successful console of all time. Even on the PSP, remember those things? The two most successful games on that are two GTA spin-offs back to back. You can create a game that was this beautiful, artistic piece that you put your essence of life into, but competing with GTA, yeah, that's like, I don't know, like your dad in his workshop competing with the nation of China. So what does this mean? Is every GTA game basically flawless, perfect pieces of art? Oh no, these games, they have problems. They have a lot of problems, not just technical ones, just pure gameplay. But it's normal. You can create a game or anything really with the magnitude of Grand Theft Auto and not make mistakes. That's just the trade-off. But even with all of its flaws, these games succeeded beyond anybody's imagination. And I think it's because they are not only impressively made, but they are impressive in a way that everyone can appreciate something from them. It's approachable, it's for everyone despite its mature themes. It was created with that goal in mind. They managed to pull everyone together to enjoy some parts of these games many times. To create something like this takes time, but unlike now, back then they were really quick with it. They made GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas in just one generation of consoles. These games all came out from 2001 to 2004. That's unreal. These are monuments, they are memorable. Not only technically impressive, but fine in every aspect. The writing is the thing that makes those memorable, you know, it's the sauce. So with that being said, what is your favorite line from GTA 3? Now for the two people who are screaming literally the first line by 8-Ball, I'm sorry, but you're alone. I have asked many of my friends and neighbors what's their favorite GTA game is. I've got many answers, none of them were GTA 3. And the sad thing is, most of them did play it, they just couldn't remember anything from it. Now you might be saying, this game is old enough to get a college degree, but Mario 64 pioneered 3D platforming, was released before that, yet people still play it. They'd love it. Silent Hill 2 came out the same year and people can't stop talking about its themes, atmosphere, and they can for sure stop using its music. Not only people enjoyed them back then, but they still get new players that enjoyed them many decades later. But not GTA 3. It is such a monumental game that took huge steps for the medium, so important yet so forgotten that makes me sad, because I remember playing it. It is one of the earliest gaming memories I have. It's probably the second game I owned on a PS2. I remember roaming around the first island aimlessly, going through it looking for the most obscure parts of it. There is an abandoned tunnel that has like 4 homeless people in it. I don't know why this is so burned into my memory. It was the first thing I checked to confirm that I really played this game, because up until now I had doubts that these memories were even real.
So sorry guys, I forget this is your spot every time I forget this, like, oh, one of this he is an animal, and oh, he is alive. That's great news. So, I gotta burn the bodies, man. I gotta burn the bodies. Just sorry, dude. This can't go out. Like, if this goes out, I would be my career would be done. Nobody would forgive me. Like, how I'm gonna make an apology with you? Like, sorry guys, I ran over 4 people and burned the bodies. Like, come on.
GTA 3 is an old game made with rough edges, and it's no surprise that a game like that could struggle to stand the test of time. Everything that GTA 3 does, everything is done better in another game. The shooting is awful, the driving is basically Death Stranding walking but with vehicles. The story is... don't even get me started. Even for the time, there were games that did all of these better. But it's really a collection of all of these that made this game work. It doesn't have to be perfect or mechanically super complex, it just has to work decent enough to be able to present the technical marvel of this world. But I still wasn't having fun with the game part of this game, you know? I could see why my brain was trying to bury any sort of memory of me playing this game. But then I remembered, I have every piece of knowledge known to man at the tip of my fingers, aka Google. So I asked Google, can you please give me a tank? Sorry, give us a tank. And that's everything I ever wanted, just a tank that blows everything up that it barely touches. It shoots meteorites from its barrel. Oh my god, I can see it now. That was when I said that this game is fun. It's beautiful, it's incredibly soothing and jazzy. Liberty City is grimy and filthy, but sometimes, just sometimes, there is a slide of color in there. There is an early autumn vibe to this place. It doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. This game conveys such a strong feeling that to me makes up for the lack of features, and it is kind of funny.
Guys, we have a disaster in Liberty City. There is this train that has been killing people. It has been killing hundreds of people, and I don't know why people trying to get on it. It doesn't work. It's just gonna kill you, Grandma. Why did you just stay away from it?
There are some weird ass mechanic in this game that I don't see how it could be useful at all. But what really interested me was the lack of features. For example, you don't have a viewable map for exploration. You have this little tiny map down there which doesn't have a strict pathfinding or whatever they call it, meaning you have to actually learn the map and remember the paths, the names of the locations. Sometimes you have to learn the names of certain cars for some side missions. It might sound really annoying, which it kind of is.
Piece of shit game.
But it's really fun to be able to figure out your own way rather than looking at a fucking mini-map transforming this video game into a movie that you have to hold buttons down for the plot to move forward. GTA 3, since it was put together really loosely, is argued to be the most open to creative approaches, but even this game doesn't bend the knee to players' wishes most of the times. By most of the times, I mean like 80% of the time. The other 20% kind of allows it, but it feels very illegal. There was a side mission that was just a simple race in the first island. You could do it really early on, and you had to race 3 other competitors who have the best cars in a place that there is only one good car locked up behind a window. This doesn't really matter though, but what's really evil and messed up is that the AI on these guys are said to be the most satanic pieces of shit ever. Now, I'm not good at driving, racing games, I stay away from them. In real life, I don't need to drink to do drunk driving, it's just in my nature. But this was not at all about racing cars. This was about being a jackass. So I decided to block their cars with trucks and vans. And it worked and allowed me to win the race. I don't think it was intended for me to do that, but it was fun. That was the sentence I said every time I tried something different in these missions, because every time you do it, it feels like cheating. But I argue that, for lack of a better term, looking for these glitches makes this game all the more fun 20 something years later. Although there is this one mission which, if you do it normally, is just a tailing mission that you have to follow a guy in a taxi, and there's this dog outside that he's been ruining my takes for the last week. But if you get a taxi and go park nearby, the guy gets in your cab instead of the other taxi, which now you can just drive him there. This is really odd that the Rockstar has allowed players sometimes to approach missions differently, but this is like something out of a Hitman game, and I like that. But who cares about lame-ass missions? This is a GTA game we are talking about. What are the side activities? Well, you got the usual cab driving, the paramedic stuff, the firefighter stuff, and of course, the vigilante. Now, the funny thing about a vigilante is you can do them in a tank, and the funny thing about a tank is that it can fly better than a plane in the airport. But the game so sucks ass. I'm sorry, guys. This story, okay, let me just say this. Claude doesn't talk like many other video game protagonists, which most of the time, let's be real here, it's a good thing, it's a great thing even. Doomslayer, Gordon Freeman, and my 7th Dark Souls character, Poop Sniffer, they don't talk, they listen. I like them. But you know what separates Claude from my Dark Souls character, Poop Sniffer? He does have a personality. By personality, I don't mean he likes blue keycards more than the red ones. His personality is being a fucking moron. He literally gets double-crossed by his girlfriend, then survives and goes from nobody to almost a made man in the Mafia, and the Mafia does an 180 on him and decides to kill him. But he's rescued by the Yakuza, and the Yakuza tell him to kill the Don of the Mafia, which he does that, and becomes the Yakuza's top guy. Then he meets this billionaire guy that says, kill the head of Yakuza and I give you money, which he does that for no other reason than money, which, Claude, you already have a shit ton of money, and the Yakuza would have paid you the same rate for literally doing anything. But no, he does that and he gets away with it. Then he meets his ex that betrayed him, and she jumps off a building, runs away, and he eventually kills her by shooting her helicopter with a rocket launcher. And then he walks away with this lady that he just rescued, and they are walking away. Then he like shoots her, maybe, I don't know, like it's a cliffhanger type of thing. I've seen people comparing this game's story to The Sopranos. I don't know if they meant the video game or not. It's obvious that Rockstar was already dealing with list upon list of problems in turning this already crazy ambitious idea into 3D. So the story and some other things had to take some steps back to allow this foundation to even exist. And I think that's the reason for this game's struggle to be remembered. It's not just the story, but lack of things to remember it for. Vice City has music that was already popular, a protagonist that stands out. San Andreas has memorable lines that has been memed to death and like a million cheat codes, a huge map to explore and a lot of myths, another popular catalog of music. GTA 3 has none of that. Although I like the radio, but there are reasons to replay these ones. There is none to replay GTA 3. It's not hard to see why this game takes a crown jewel when it comes to being so many people's favorite. It is such a drastic transition from not only GTA 3, but almost every game in the series. But it's not mechanically super complex or plays out in a way that no game has ever done before, or really that much different from GTA 3. And I think that tells you how important of a role aesthetic plays. As a game alone, it's good, it's more than decent, but that's without the style, the bright neon colors that shine through the heaviest fog. Without that, this game doesn't stand out the test of time. I don't think this game needed to be that much different from GTA 3 in terms of gameplay to succeed. All it had to do was to get that feeling right. And it did. They had given their all to have another lightning in a bottle, another GTA 3. Can it be that good again? Well, they got the tank, so that's fun. Motorcycles, boats, helicopters, businesses, a chainsaw, a goddamn minigun, Michael Jackson, a protagonist who is actually voiced and is in Claude, a story that is basically Scarface and more coherent, interiors that are beautiful and you can abuse to kill everyone and get a 5th star. You can deliver pizzas like in Spider-Man 2, or you can kill the pizza delivery like in Spider-Man 3. Although when I played these missions, I totally understood why I never finished this game. You know that one RC mission in the construction site that people always complain and bitch about? Well, these pussies haven't actually played the goddamn game yet, because that is like the tip of the iceberg. See how deep it goes yet? That ain't shit. I don't know who in the studio thought, what is that one thing that we haven't figured out to do yet in our game? Oh, planes? Yeah, let's do like 5 of those missions with planes. Whoever came up with this, fuck you, I hope you fucking die, you piece of shit.
This game deserves to be burned and buried and burned and buried and burned and buried and burned and buried again and burned and buried.
This is why Vice City is awful and sucks ass. That aside, it's good. It's really good. They did it again. This is basically GTA 3, but brighter, shinier, cleaner, with a tone that many more will appreciate compared to its predecessor. But it's not a total shift like GTA 3 was. See, when GTA 3 came out, it basically took the build that was invented by GTA 1 and added a horse and a carrier into that. Vice City is that, but with a faster horse and Michael Jackson, which is great, but it's on a car with Michael Jackson. But hey, it did numbers, and Rockstar could have just decided that we did enough, we worked well and achieved that level of greatness that we always wanted. Now let's release this shit annually, like every year, every 6 months, weekly, daily, and people will buy it cause they are morons. They will buy anything with our logo on it. Why not keep doing the exact same thing for as long as we can? This is too easy and cliche, but Far Cry 3 is a game that everybody knows about. They either have played it or at least know about it, since it's a template for uninspired open world games. But it didn't used to be. When it came out, it looked at Far Cry 2 and said fuck you, and made it accessible, added colors into it, and give it a fresh look. Although they didn't have Michael Jackson, they had the Skrillex, which might have been Michael Jackson back in 2012. But then Far Cry 4 came out, and Ubisoft said, hey kids, this is the game you all loved, but with new features, such as elephants. Isn't that cool? Then, Far Cry Primal took men back into the cave and gave them a guide to survive the wild, uncharted lands. This was their fire, which was a copy of Far Cry 3. But you can pet animals, so that's new, I guess. Then Far Cry 5 came out, and guys, remember Waco Siege? That was crazy. You get the point. This is not a revelation. I'm not the first person to point this out, and I'm not for sure the last. This video is a cliche, will last longer than Ubisoft the company. Ubisoft is not a punching bag. It's the punching bag. Brutally beaten 4 years. I'm not saying Far Cry 2 is the greatest game Ubisoft has made in the past 20 years, that's Rayman. But people know about Ubisoft games for how formulaic and uninspired they are. They don't like them. But apparently they do, cause if they didn't, Ubisoft would have been out of business 12 Assassin's Creeds ago. Most of these games are not really bad. They are literally a reskin of a game that people loved, with a different aesthetic and a bit shinier. It used to be just DLC, but then they realized that people love faster horses, and they will keep riding and riding and riding till they hit a speeding bump. And Vice City is a faster horse, and maybe the fastest horse there is, to be honest. If Rockstar did the exact same thing, releasing this thing every year, Vice City would have just been a template, but that didn't happen. And they said no. Let's make the biggest game ever, John Rockstar said, while the overworked and underpaid staff cried while their families were murdered in front of them by the CEO of Rockstar. They took 2 years to deliver something special. We have to push the limits till there is none. Every Grand Theft Auto starts with something big, a betrayal in the middle of a bank robbery, a drug deal going wrong, but not this one.
Welcome to Los Santos Airport.
What's up? Carl is sweet. What's up, sweet? What you want?
It's Mama. She's dead, bro.
San Andreas doesn't have a crazy beginning with those insane missions, but yet the early hours in this game are the most memorable and the most remembered, and when you expect it the least, it goes out of hand. Suddenly, you're helping this piece of shit to shoot a bunch of guys on a moving train with his piece of shit aim. There are attempts of making an actual profound story, but then they remembered, hey, it's a Grand Theft Auto game we are making, but what are we even doing here? Gameplay wise, it's equally as crazy. There is a rhythm game, a weird ass dating minigame, a gym, and food chains and martial arts. There are video games inside this video game, gambling. All the good games have gambling, this is a proven gamer fact. Except maybe Rust, that one sucks. There are stats for almost everything. You can recruit gang members. Then there are territories that you can go on a series of conquests, capturing all of them, which is really cool, and I wish it dived a little bit deeper. It also has stealth. It is an MGS5 though, and there is a parachute.
I hate gravity!
The first thing I do playing any sort of open world game is leaving. How do I get away as far as I can from the spawning point? Usually games either not allow you to get that far that soon, or have an enemy that tells you the same thing but very clearly. But for some players, every time in every game there is a way. Well, in my childhood, when I tried to do this in San Andreas, I couldn't. Not because this game doesn't allow you to cheat around it, but because every time the pure scale of the map got my attention and got my imagination going. Like, what if there is an actual Bigfoot here? I mean, it's possible. This is a big game. The first city that you're dropped into feels like 10 Vice cities at once. There were always these little loading screens when you went from one city to another, but not in San Andreas, even though it has the biggest map out of all of them. And it also runs on the same console, the PS2. How did they do this? Did they really make a deal with Satan? Well, no, game developers back in the day had rights equal to a 14th century peasant. If you weren't there, it was bad. Like, really bad. Yeah, deal with Satan, they fucking wished. Okay, here's a graph for the level of sanity of the plot. So it starts from right here, it goes a bit up, you know, crazy car chases and murder happens here. And then BAM! Now CJ is on the other side of the map while his brother is in jail. He does some wild jobs for some lunatics, breaks into multiple facilities, steals a jetpack, gets away with it. It steals a harvester, kills people with it, burns weed, then kills people. He jumps from a plane, then kills people. Then he remembers, oh, Los Santos? And I had a brother who is in jail? My mom died? That's so sad. So he goes back there with his brother and like the level of sanity goes down back here. But then Samuel Jackson gets into a fire truck. This game was read and drunk and edited high on coke. This is one hell of a plot carried by funny characters and entertaining performances. It's not a story about morality, loyalty to a family, turning the other cheek despite whatever unjustified act they commit, and how you will inherit their good as well as their bad. The government, John, they hate us.
That's their business.
But this is a funny game, and I like funny shit, so this is good. I like this. But you know what's not funny? RC missions. I never laugh, I just cry. I thought it was left to rot in Vice City, but it was unleashed here too. Which one of you psychotic pieces of shit brought back the RC missions? How in God's green planet are the controls worse? Then they decided, okay, this is not good enough, so they designed the missions in a way that the enemies are so far apart from each other on the other sides of the town. Then some sack of shit lowlife in the back of the room said,
we should have a time limit, you know, just in case.
The only thing that saved me from shitting myself with a gun that was fake was when I found out that these were optional. Thank you, whoever decided on that. This era of GTA games are not only important but still great, but they always get one thing wrong: the difficulty. And in some ways it is carried into their newer games, but in a much more different way. Most of the missions in these games are in two categories. A, get me from here to here without flipping your car. B, okay, go kill these guys around the map in 43 seconds, otherwise your PlayStation 2 will enter a sequence of code that will result in an activation of a nuclear bomb that was designed to be in every PlayStation 2. Oh, you did it. Bomb the fuse. It's difficult because video games were difficult back in the day. They used to be hard. They required, brain power and antidepressants. Nowadays, you just have to know the English language or one of these ones, or even if you don't, just follow a waypoint. My grandfather has one of those flip phones and has not played a video game in his life, but I would bet money that he could play GTA 5 or Red Dead and finish it. Because these, for better or worse, play like movies. These are two polar opposites, although one of them has a better excuse. Cause if they try to make these missions even slightly difficult, they will lose my grandfather and your grandfather. And that's $260 or now $70 or $80 not earned. Meaning two things. Video games are getting expensive real fast and I'm going to go broke. And second, they have to be accessible to be able to showcase their technical magnificence to everyone. But I could go on and go on and go on and complain about these things, but if you zoom out, it doesn't really matter. If it gets one thing wrong, it still can pull 10 more tricks. This is a game that couldn't be topped in terms of magnitude. This game does everything. It is entertainment at its best. How higher could the bar be? How other studios are going to follow up? How much closer can Rockstar get to the sun without burning? That is what people thought of GTA San Andreas when it came out in 2004. The first thing I do playing any sort of open world game is leaving. How do I get away as fast as I came?